Oh,
Councilmember Brockmeyer. Councilmember Berger.
Present.
Councilmember Holdren.
present.
Councilmember Marino. Present. Councilmember Knopf. Here. Councilmember Oswald.
Present.
And Mayor Foster.
Here. All right, the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is anybody going to object if we move this possible state legislation up to first, just to get, in case there's people want to leave? As many of you, as I don't know if many of you know, I've been reading the paper that there's two bills in the General Assembly. Do you have language on these, Matt, at all, or? Yeah. 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 So there are two bills that are going through the General Assembly. One is to restrict the ability of a town to regulate short-term rentals, which is this bill's come up several times in the past and been defeated each time. Looks like it maybe moving forward. The second bill is to restrict a locality's ability to have secondary structures, secondary residences on your property. Both of these bills are in the General Assembly. The question is, does the council want to send a letter of opposing these bills to the General Assembly? Or my feeling is that this is our matter, whether you agree with it or not, it should be decided by the locality, not by the state. No, a long time ago with the first round.
Last session.
I did on a previous bill. Now there's a new bill.
This is a new bill. We didn't.
It's
To oppose again.
It's another year session.
It's a session. This is a year later. Yeah. And there's two bills. Yeah. There are two concerns here. So,
Actually, Fletcher, there are four or five of them.
but same gist, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
different
and most of
sponsors.
the ones in the Senate the Senate Bill 304 and Senate Bill 544 are the ones that to me would change the most about how we do business. It seems to be the patrons are from Northern Virginia. And so they seem to want to increase their density and provide more housing, which, that's fine if that's what they want. But I don't think the entire state wants it. There are other two House bills that are less impactful from our point of view that I believe have already been moved onto a committee to study for 2025. So I agree with you. I think we should oppose the Senate bills for all time because they are so very restrictive. If you want me to go through the things that I read, I'd be happy to.
Yeah. My thing is that the state shouldn't be telling what the localities how to do this, whether you agree with short-term rentals or not. It's our locality's job to decide whether we have them or not. So we need to craft a letter, opposing, what we've considered. I don't know if we need, what we need to get somebody to write the letter. Does somebody want to volunteer to do that?
It's not just short-term rentals.
I know, I said the other
It's-
one about the,
It's transient occupant tax. The
Yeah.
state will
Yeah,
collect the
yeah.
money and then
yeah,
hopefully send it back to us. And it's accessory dwelling
yeah,
units.
that's why, in the backyard, yeah. And
There's
so somebody needs to craft a fairly,
well,
but I mean,
today was crossover day.
Yeah.
If the bills didn't cross over and
Tomorrow. It's actually
Is
the
it tomorrow?
13th. Yes,
okay. So if they don't cross over tomorrow, they're dead.
right.
So
well,
let's hope
So
they don't.
midnight tomorrow night, we'll know if they're dead.
we can wait a day and see what happens. And then somebody, who's going to write this letter? Well, if it crosses over, yeah, it'd have to
Yeah.
be voted on by the whole Senate, yeah.
And some of them have been referred to the House Committee on Housing or something like that. One of the House bills has been already referred for the next session to this committee to study. Again, to me, if Northern Virginia wants denser population, that's fine with me, but that doesn't mean we want it here.
Exactly, yeah, exactly.
We spent a lot of time.
what we did once, so we don't need.
Yeah, and
to
I think
do
we
it
did a
right
good
now
job.
telling us
We're
to
not,
do
we're
it.
not shutting it down. We're allowing short-term rentals. And so I think that, that the point is that we want to call the shots, not Richmond. So does anybody want to,
Can we not have the town go ahead with the letter and to include this bill or these bills rather than just reinventing the wheel? I mean,
did we have a letter we sent last year?
It wasn't.
I have two
Yeah.
so far, but they're not the same.
Well, you have to add that, you'd have to add the
Yeah.
same thing about the, could
Yeah.
you,
And who did we send them to?
There's not much
Sent them
difference.
to the person who put them on the floor. So it was Linwood Lewis was one, and
he's not,
you know,
yeah.
he obviously isn't the person advocating this one, so.
And
So even though the content of the bills this year is different than the content of the bills we were objecting to before, the objection is still the same, which is that it ought to be our decision and not Richmond's
Right.
to what happens here. So,
Generally speaking, that's tolerated. There were some more specific things about how, in here, especially with the adjacent buildings and the transient occupancy, those are deeply impactful for us.
yes,
mhm.
Yes.
yeah, I had to look up ADU. I didn't know what an ADU was. It's accessory
Drilling.
dwelling unit.
Yes.
In other words, I could build, since I have 2.5 lots, I could put a little house back there
Yes.
and call it, and be separate from my house and call it an accessory dwelling unit,
And
which opens up a real can of worms there.
we've turned people down, with
We
garages.
have.
Over the last 30 years.
That was my first vote on council 6 years ago.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
well, can you craft the letter, then let us see it? And then, well, maybe you should wait and find out whether these survive. Yeah, and then maybe we need to get it written and sent out pretty quick. Yeah, yeah. Huh?
No,
Okay.
it's not too late, but since this is Northern Virginia Democrats and they have a majority, I would be willing to bet it will make it through crossover.
Yeah.
So then we're prepared, just get.
Yeah. I mean, not like they're going to say, oh my gosh, we got a letter from an Hancock. We're going to.
Yeah.
We're going to kill these bills.
They're going to jump right down. I
Well, shouldn't
kid
we
you
also
not.
send that to our
Yeah,
representatives?
yeah, I think so. Yeah.
To tell them, okay, thank you.
Okay. All right. So we don't need a vote. We're just going to do that and send it around. Okay. All righty. All right. Okay. On to the town plan. All my stuff here.
Yeah, it is.
All right. All righty. Is, before we, does anybody have any public comment about the town plan where they want to say something? We're going to allow public comment about the town plan. But before we discuss the plan, and maybe you have a comment at the end. So if anybody have any comment specifically about the town plan? Sure. Yeah. Yeah, you have to come up, please. Thank you.
Good evening, Mark Sinclair, 19142 Greenway Circle in Hancock. Just a couple of comments. In two areas in that report, you're talking about bumping out the curbs. First one's over on Ames Street. You're talking about narrowing the road there. And I just want to make sure you look at the design and realize that the design calls for a tree right on each corner. And you've got a brand new mural that you put up on that wall.
No, you're aware of
And
that.
do you really want to put a tree there? And the same thing across the street, you're talking about putting up the 1680 sign possibly in that park area. So a tree on the other side there wouldn't work well. I support the narrowing of the road, but I think it's going to look ugly without the two trees, to tell you the truth. So just food for thought there. Down at the wharf, you're redesigning, you're moving the island out of the parking lot, and you're not including any sort of walkway across the street, crosswalk. And I thought when we first started talking that everybody wanted something in regards to a crosswalk that would make it easier to cross the road. If you eliminate that island, it eliminates a safe refuge when you're trying to cross the road. So from that standpoint, I'd hate to see that island removed without a marked crosswalk telling people where to walk and where traffic should pay attention to people coming in. I'd also point out that on page 59, you have a kiosk positioned right where they're going to want to turn around boats,
Right, where they're gonna do.
where they want to turn the boats around.
Oh.
You've got the new promenade that comes around there, and that kiosk looks like it's located right in the middle of the promenade, and it looks like the way a boat, a truck would have to come in with a boat, has to drive right through that area. So I would think that that kiosk is in a bad spot. I'd also have to tell you, you have the swings in there. I know you have to have a bench that can be moved or, the swings, but I just personally think that's going to
Yeah, there's-
be a view distraction. And I love the view down there. I'd hate to see that go away. Town Square, page 62. What Hill Street or Hill Associates is calling minor improvements is quite a renovation of the park. They're talking about moving the gazebo. They're talking about raising the ground. They're talking about new sidewalks, and they called that a minor investment. I would just point out to you, that's not a minor investment. That's a pretty significant investment. I was curious, we start talking about green spaces and what you might do with the park down by the water, down by Mount Prospect Bridge. Did the town ever sell that little triangular piece of property to the neighbor right next to it? No, okay. See, is it,
You mean Bagwell's Bridge?
I'm sorry?
Do you mean Bagwell's Bridge?
Yes, sorry.
Okay, thank you.
Under recommendations on page 66, they reference a kayak launch and an ATM, and they said that you could find them in chapter 5. I looked all through chapter 5. I don't see them anywhere. I don't even see a kayak ramp mentioned or an ATM, so I'm confused about that. And then also, one of the main things that we're talking about is lighting and where to improve lighting. At one point, there was a discussion about the diagram they gave or the picture that they gave and how little light was actually on the North Street and Market Street interchange. And they were talking about, the puddles of light that come down and whatnot. I would point out to you that over between the Lilliston building and the old Bank Coffee House is a very dark spot. And in fact, if you look at their rendition, I think it's on page 27, their diagram actually put a light in there. I don't know how easy it is just to put a light into place because you have to run new power to it, but that would be a great place to have a new light. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other specific comments about town plan? Yeah. No, we don't want this one. Yeah. Yeah.
We should, because it sounds like we're.
Well, no, at the end we can talk. Yeah. Yeah, but they don't argue with somebody. Go ahead.
Good. Karen Belknap with 10 Good Sheep, and my business is located at the Historic and Hancock School. I apologize if this sounds a little disconnected. It's a little bit unplanned, but I wanted to address this. The town planning has been great about trying to figure out signage that's really going to help visitors to the town to locate interesting spots that are going to provide them with an even better visitor experience. Excuse me. And there has been some discussion about signage for the school, which is in fact a community center as well as a multi-use building. It's also a building that houses ongoing businesses that pay for business license. I'm one of them. And we not only contribute to the tax base by drawing visitors here, we provide an experience and a concierge that sends them out to other viable businesses in the downtown. There's been some talk recently from people who are relatively new to town, who don't understand that the school actually resides in the downtown area. So they try to make a distinction between downtown, I guess, being Market Street and maybe North Street, when in fact the school is a viable downtown participant. We're there, we already exist. So when it comes to creating signage for the school that will draw visitors and hopefully customers, since that's why we're there, to the school, we do need signage in whatever capacity that's going to drive visitors down College Avenue to find us. We're there, we've been there for years. I've been at the school myself for, I think I'm in my 6th year, I believe. So we've been players there. And we do need the town's help as we help bring visitors to town who value the arts. We need the town's help to provide us with businesses. So the idea of putting a sign on the opposite College Avenue that's going to point to a community center, I can't tell you of any visitor to town from out of the area who would give a whip stitch of interest about going to see a visitors or a community center. It is a community center and our community knows that it's a community center, but we're much more than that. We are Anacog's little mini torpedo factory. And while that also is a multi-use area, it's not billed as anything other than an arts community, art studios, ongoing businesses, ongoing concerns. And I want to absolutely stand up for the businesses that are there, as we have been, to make it a priority that visitors to town who are interested in the arts are going to know that we're there. Otherwise, we're hiding that light under a bushel. So I also want to bring up, I don't know, excuse me, how many of you have seen these cards, but we have self-promoted our businesses at the school because there's no other way to do it. We try on social media. This is the Old School Arts Collective, which is a card representing the ongoing artist concerns there at the school. We need to stay viable through visitor dollars. And we covet your visits as well when you're looking for local handmade for your gifts and things like that. But we are part of the community. We're one of the drivers that brings visitors to the town. It's vital that we have signage that the visitors can know that we're there. So any signage that says strictly community center is going to kill us. And we've been trying for years to not get killed. Please don't let that happen now. And thank you for listening.
Thank you. Rosemary?
While I appreciate the last comments, I still have my concerns about the businesses which are along Market Street and North Street. I do think that the people who are invested in those businesses have a greater financial investment than the people who are tenanting the school building. I think there's a big difference there, many thousands of dollars, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I think that I do believe that the signage should be predominantly pointed towards Market Street and North Street. And if you want a sign for the school to say community center and shops, whatever they are, in there, I'm not, galleries, whatever. But I think that it should predominantly be directed towards the actual mortar and brick buildings in the town. And I do know, because I do get a lot of visitors from out of state, that when they can, sometimes out of the country, that when they come, what they're looking for is to walk around, outside and to go into stores and shops and whatever. They may go in and out of the school, but they're predominantly looking to, visit outside. I think that when you go to any downtown that's been rehabbed or revitalized in the country, that's basically what you see. You see vital downtown centers, where people are more drawn than to a mini mall type of situation.
Thank you. One more comment? Yeah, go ahead.
Good evening. I'm Priscilla Hart. I live on Market Street. Rosemary, I can't agree more with your comments. I agree with everything you have said. I think our town plan should mainly focus on bringing visitors and bringing shoppers to the downtown area. I do not see the historic Onancock School as downtown. There are businesses up and down Market and North Street and plenty of empty spaces up and down Market and North Street. And instead of directing visitors and shoppers to the historic Onancock School, it probably would be to our advantage to bring those visitors to the downtown. And while doing that, when you're downtown, you got to put them somewhere. They're going to have to park. So I'd really be very interested in the town focusing on fixing that Queen Street lot because there's a lot of parking there. Also, the historic Onancock School, in my mind, is not a community center. It is a place where there are businesses and there are artists and there are a few shops. That's it. Space is rented to organizations that need to use the facility. And of course, the tenants, the artists, whoever they are, who are there are paying rent. The rent is really low. And I would say that these folks are making it a little bit difficult for Onancock to grow the way we want it to grow. We've got empty stores. We would like to fill them. One of the good ideas, I think, for artists would be to rent a space downtown collaboratively and make it an artist co-op. They would bring their goods to the downtown so that in case they were missed at the school, someone would see their work. They could each contribute on a monthly basis to the space, and they could staff it monthly. I belong to an artist co-op in New Mexico. It's very easy to do. And I think that would give those artists in the school an opportunity for more visibility. It would also fill a space downtown. And I, again, don't see any benefit in directing people to an off-site location when we really need people in downtown Onancock. Thank you.
No, okay. Oh, Janet?
Janet Falsky, Market Street in Hancock. I've heard what everyone's saying and sort of been on both sides of this issue. And I know that what y'all are talking about right now really doesn't have as much to do about, how the town's going to grow and all of that, as much as just making sure that you're doing good signage and getting people promoted. From firsthand knowledge of the school and of working on Main Street revitalization, of founding and running the farmers market, of working with people like Marianne Connolly, who ran the Red Queen Gallery, that we talked to before we ever started the farmers market. And she said, the more the better, the more the merrier. There's such a complementary focus to having the school. I'm sorry, but I'm very emotional about this. And I get tired of hearing people decide how things should be done when there's an awful lot of people doing. So I think you need to listen to the people that are doing. There is room for everybody, and everything that exists in this town brings more people in. The farmers market does, the school does, the downtown does, the people paying the higher rents in the downtown, and the people using the school as an incubator who may one day move into downtown buildings because they've enjoyed Onancock and love the town and want to support it. What you're looking at tonight, signage-wise, we've seen is the need for there to be a really, really amazing entry sign. Re-landscape. Get it to speak as to who we are. Get people excited about coming into town. Halfway into town, at OBS, let people know that there's more. They've been through the uptown. Let them know that the historic downtown and the wharf is X amount of blocks or X amount of distance further. At the corner of College, let them know that there's studios and a community center and playing grounds and a pavilion and an art center and an entertainment center, and get people down there. When you get into town, improve the Queen Street lot. We are trying to ask y'all to move the farmers market into that lot. Give us the good signage to get people there. We bring in 10,000 people a year into this town. on Saturday mornings from 9 to 12. Keep going, get people interested and give them information, whether it's your welcome center or informational kiosks. Give them the information once they get to town to know everything that's available there. And encourage everybody to work together on this instead of saying some sort of either or here. So the signage is important. People that are arriving by boat, give them the information to come up and find what's in town, all over town. People that are going into
Yeah.
I'm sorry, one more thing, that are going into this wonderful new dog park, give them some information to know, not just to get off the highway and run their dogs, but come into town. Thank you.
I have one more an email that was sent to us that they request that we read it out. It says, as a new property owners and taxpayers on both a commercial property downtown and fixing a prominent derelict property on Market Street, John Orth and L. Dana Simpson are hoping that the downtown arts and many galleries that are open regular hours and handmade content can expect to receive the same amount of focus and resources enjoyed by the school. 10 listed artists, 9 retail service businesses. We noted that there was signage for arts center in town plan, hill plan for the school. Will there also be an arts center sign for downtown? We have heard that the school is a community center. Should the school have the signage instead, as it is a mixed use, hopefully extending more space for community use in the near future? We would love to feel that there was more of a cohesive plan to unite the business downtown and promote them at the same time as the school, the same way the school enjoys this. The downtown should be treated as the heart of Anacog. Thank you, Dana Simpson. Okay. All right. That concludes the, I think, a lot of interesting comments. I think, Mark, a lot of things you suggested, I think Cindy we've already taken up a lot of that and considered, the trees in front of the billboard, the crosswalk down at a lot of that stuff has already been discussed. Thank you for bringing it up, but I think we're working, thank you, we're looking at that. Yeah.
And if you don't mind, Mark, I'll call you in the next couple of days, because I had the same question you did about the kayak landing, and I did find the information in section 5.
Yeah, thank you. All right, let's move on to the, Matt, do you want to, what thing we take up first? Yeah.
Add something to this discussion right here. The signage that we have downtown parking wharf.
Well, we're going to get
Arts
to talk
Center.
about signage. Yeah, that's part of the discussion tonight. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, I'm not trying to cut you off, but that's,
okay.
yeah,
My
that,
3 minutes are up.
yeah, we need, you're not public. Yeah, go ahead, Matt.
You're a very private person.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
What I tried to do in the cover sheet was to basically say, how much money do we have? How much are we required to keep in our reserves based on policy, which will leave how much money do we have to spend? And then go through each of the projects that we really heard about tonight and have numbers next to them so that you can start to see how you can prioritize the cash that we have to spend on projects that you choose. So right now, as of January 31st, we have $4.9 million in the bank. We're required to keep, according to the policy, $1.6 million in reserves, which leaves $3.25 million left to spend. So that's the target. You've got that amount to spend. To go through what we sort of know is coming, we've got ARPA projects that I called non-construction. The second page shows the highlighted items for those, what makes up that number. Okay, so you see 249,359, and then on the second page, the remaining to spend highlighted in yellow equals 249,359. That's the remaining ARPA projects. Now I closed some of them up into the building, like the air conditioning upstairs. We had talked about it. It just wasn't one of those that had a lot of support. So if you look through the projects you'll see closed next to them. If it's something that you say, you know, no, I absolutely want to have the stormwater management. Then we can reopen that. And that's the conversation that we need to start having, is prioritizing the dollars that we have left.
Matt, I know some of the ones that are marked as closed are closed because they're complete.
Yes.
Can you help us make the distinction and refresh us on which ones are closed as complete and which ones are closed as in rethink?
Easiest way to be looking at that would be to look at the spent to date column. And if it's 0 and closed, we didn't spend anything on it. I closed it. I reappropriated the dollars.
Okay.
You have any,
Okay?
would you
So
please
spent to date.
give an example of one of those?
Sure, if you go down right in between the yellow blocks, there is a $15,000 budget for valve isolation.
Okay,
I closed that and moved the dollars up to, and everything got moved up to the Welcome Center / police office. So that's where, just so you know, it didn't get, no other budgets got increased. It all got pushed up to the building. Zip.
Could you remind us of the contract amounts on those two
Sure.
constructions?
On the bottom of the first page, that shows the police station and welcome center budget. The hard costs are $721, $719. That's the contract with the contractor. Out loud, I just said that.
Where is
Then
this?
the soft cost,
On the first page?
first page at the bottom.
I see it.
In the box.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The soft cost, we budgeted for 13%. We haven't spent 13% yet. We're, you know, probably right around 10. So I would think it's still a really good estimate, but you know, it's still an estimate. And then the other smaller numbers that we're looking at, the $4,000 for utility installation. We have to run the water from, you know, you'll be seeing that before you know it. The furniture and fixtures, I just put 5,000 in there because I know that we're gonna need tables and chairs and, you know, frames and whatnots. Yeah, and then I've got the leased space, which is $6,000, and that's the new trailer for the police office out back. So our costs are fairly low. There's a credit of $18,000 when Steve Peglow, who's our contractor, first looked at the plans. He said, putting the air conditioning units on the roof does two things. Both of them are bad. If we move them down onto the ground like most folks do, I can save you $20,000. We went back to the architect and the engineers. They said, you know, how does that affect our air movement? Steve happens to be an air movement consultant and certified on the shore. So he said, you know, if you want me to, based on the number of doors that'll open and close, he doesn't think it'll be a problem. But he said to the engineer, look, it's only $1,000 a piece for each building. We'll just add the air movement in. It's not that big a deal. So we have a net savings of $18,000 for air conditioning, and we're adding the air movement. The next one says, quote, to resurface roof and add the, wondered what that word was. Yeah, I wondered what that was too, now that I'm reading it. If you remember the drawing that Hill did of the front, it showed a metal roof, you know, sort of a dark bronze, and then almost an awning roof that would come out. I just asked Steve, I said, look, if we saved 18 there, would you give me a quote for that? And then, you know, you guys can do what you want to with it. And I know there's been some changes on that and water meters are in the way and things like that, but I just think it's a conversation worth having. That's all. So all of that, and then contingency of 10%, I subtract out the net of the other two pieces of activity that are in there, and our net cost is $866, only $714, and that's obviously for both buildings. So then if you take that number and go up right underneath where the yellow number was for 249, you'll see The Welcome Center and Police Station, same number, 866, 714. Then right underneath it, it's how much money have we, how many ARPA dollars have we used to date? That's 232. How many do we have left to use based on, if we appropriate everything? And then the bottom number is how much of our reserves will we need to use in order to finish this job? And that number is 261, 644. Go ahead.
Based on the $866,714 to renovate the police station and the Welcome Center, break that down into each building.
I can't, we didn't get a bid for 721. It wasn't split in half, but we had them bid together as one project.
We have not, council has not approved the bid for the police station yet, right?
You can prove the 721,
For both of them?
yes.
I've got it. Sorry.
Go ahead, Cindy.
In my reading in the federal regulations, in order to change the plan and close the items you've closed, we have to submit an amendment.
We use the gross feature. We didn't use the line items, so we used the $10 million exclusion.
Okay.
So we're not actually required to submit project by project items. Yes.
Thank you.
And now I have to remember what I was going to ask you. Oh, I know what I was going to ask you. On the reserves required, is that is reserves required to be spent to make up the rest of the 866?
Correct.
Okay. So that's not for, that's only for the Welcome Center and the police station, not for the rest of the ARPA stuff.
That's absolutely correct. The
Okay.
ARPA stuff that is remaining open is 249,000. Those dollars are in the ARPA bank account. We have also the $372,000 in the ARPA bank account. But we will need another 261,644 in order to finish, and we will need to take that from our reserves.
Okay.
My concern, I mean, we established the plan around October 2021. Here we are with 10 months left to go to commit these funds. And by that, from my reading, we have to have a document promising payment to somebody. So we have 10 months left to complete the items that we have not completed in the previous almost 3 years. I really have strong reservations about whether we can actually get this done.
So let me ask the question, because there are 7 projects that we would need to be encumbered by December of 2024. Agreed?
No, tell us the 7.
They're the ones highlighted in yellow.
Okay. I mean, you understand, we're just seeing this for the
Yeah.
first time
No,
now.
I understand. Well, the ARPA you see every month, so,
Yes.
okay. The matching grant for the Anacog business facades, that is what it is. So we're already, as encumbered as we're gonna be. My guess is that if it doesn't roll out the way that you folks think it is, we'll just need less reserves for the building, because we'll just roll that up in.
Was there a cutoff date on that?
Yeah. April.
Yeah, so that's where I'm saying, this is still there. That's the budget. We've got plenty to distribute,
So we can still, so even if we make a decision to go ahead with this plan tonight, we can still adjust later on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, all of this money is fungible because we use the $10 million exclusion. So if you go in and say that, well, you can't say this now, the town square repairs, because I'm having some sidewalk work done. But if you said, the sidewalk repairs we're not going to do, and we're going to reappropriate that up to the building, that's your prerogative.
And I think
But-
we're covered by what you're telling me and the part of the CFR that says we have to obligate the money because we've
Yes.
obligated it with this contract.
Yeah, we've obligated this, that part's easy. We're also gonna obligate the dredging, because we've built the road for lack of a better purpose, out at the dump. So the person that's gonna help us put that out to bid is gonna come out. Once that goes to bid, those dollars will be encumbered. You know, the town square repairs, the sidewalk stuff, those will be encumbered. The downtown visual improvements, I would imagine that your conversation tonight is gonna get those encumbered. You're looking at $3,500 for those faucets that I just can't seem to make the time to get in over at the Little League, but you know, that's no problem. We can just buy them and then install them when we want. Sunset Park, we've already got, you know, quotes and whatnot coming. And then we've got the matching of the facade grants. So the 7 open projects are, I'm not worried about encumbering those dollars.
Okay.
And if there's one thing that needs to shift, then we shift it.
Okay.
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 But that's the concept of it is, 261,644 of our reserve finishes both of those buildings. Okay. The next part is I broke down and said, this is town plan.
Hang on,
Okay.
I want to stay
Please.
there for a minute. As far as the encumbering, is there any risk that in the status of these open projects, Congress, if they could manage to vote, sorry about that, could say, you haven't spent it, we're yanking it back?
No, that conversation came up about a year ago when the.
Yeah, I
when the
remember.
House turned and we all sort of panicked. And that was that bill that was basically, I think they called it a clawback.
Mm-hmm.
That clawback was designed for federal agencies that had not appropriated it.
Okay.
So it doesn't relate to us.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
No,
That has been nagging at the
no,
back
no,
of my
no,
mind
you-
for a
you
long
can't
time.
Take the money back.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, on the second page, under Police Department and Welcome Center, you reappropriated, we budgeted 295,000 of our 1.2 ARPA money, is it 1.2? Yep.
That's correct. 1, 2, 5.
Okay, and then you reappropriated $310,000 from what?
Well, the list of all of the other projects that's there, the biggest one was security cameras. The generator, both of those got paid for by DCJS grants that we didn't know about before. So that was $200,000 right there,
What is DCJS?
Department of Criminal Justice System.
Okay. This is my concern. So we budget $295,000. We're looking at a total of $867,000 for these 2 buildings. As I shared with you the other day, the county has budgeted $500,000 to remodel the Accomack Library for county office spaces. This is like close to 80% of our budget into these 2 buildings. And I understand it could come out of reserves and we'll still be okay, but I drove my car up Main Street and there was a water break somewhere and I just washed my car, so I had to go back and rewash. And then you had the problem down at the wharf with the water. How is our infrastructure, is what I'm asking. If we're spending $300,000 on remodeling 2 buildings, which is $800,000 is a lot of money, for us.
It is a lot of money.
How is our water structure?
Well, the infrastructure is, I would say, as good as it can be for one reason is that 2/3 of our infrastructure is relatively new. We put all the HDPE, which is, I'm sorry, high density pipe underground to replace all of the old ductile iron and that type of thing. This was done, Fletcher, do you remember when that big water?
Whenever the water tower was built 15 or 15 years ago.
Right, so I mean, it was right along that time, and these things have 40-year lives. As far as water breaks, they happen. They just do, just like you get a leak in your house, we get a leak in the, in the plumbing, that, it just happens. There's nothing that we're worried about, like, oh my gosh, we need to do this. I think you'll see later on my list, I do have one thing for the water, two things, but one thing for the water distribution system. But
On this list?
on the front page, all the money's on the front page. So, but I can get to that when we get it. Your question about infrastructure is very valid. But the lifespan of a water tower is a very long time. We cared for it. What was it, 2 years ago? We sealed it and painted it. And then you're gonna see me every other year come to you for money to wash it and make sure we get all of the mold and mildew off of it.
When the residents of the town ask me, how do I justify spending $867,000 to remodel two buildings?
We've already voted on it.
I know we did. I know we did, but
May I ask a
it's a little
question?
bit over budget. Go ahead. Sorry.
We have funds, we've appropriated these funds and we've been going along with these projects for a long time, but we do have a reserve. So if a plug happens, a leak happens somewhere, that's what your other reserve cash is about, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, that's all.
If we had something catastrophic happen at the water tower, we would have the reserve that's in our policy reserve, not the extra reserve we have now. I mean, we're required to have a utility reserve, and right now it's $715,000. The reason it's so robust is that the tower's expensive. The pumps are expensive, we just learned, so that we have an adequate reserve to take care of the things that need to be taken care of. We're gonna be coming forward to you in the next couple of months, asking for a new generator, that type of thing, so. Things need to be replaced, but nothing's on fire.
It's nice to worry, but it's also, you can't stymie moving forward on things that we've agreed upon for a long time, and that we do have the funds available to us if something major should happen.
Right.
And that's our insurance policy.
But we have an insurance policy.
And I'm sorry, go ahead, sir.
Another water-related question that I've talked with you about a while ago that seems to be coming back into broader concern is the forever chemical stuff in water systems.
Yeah.
Is there any monitoring that's available to us to be doing? And if so, are we? And if not, are we watching for how we can get it as soon as we can?
I'm not gonna. Yes, there is statewide monitoring of forever chemicals.
Okay.
They rotate through water systems to gauge when each municipality or water authority gets tested,
Okay.
and it is not our turn yet. And I spoke directly to Dixon about this exact question at Department of Health before he retired, and he did acknowledge that this is becoming more of a thing, but he also acknowledged that, we're rotating through and, it'll get to us, don't worry.
Any feel for how far off that is?
I don't.
Can we get back on what we're on? Let's get back on what plan here. I had one question about the budget for the welcome, so the only thing that's really budgeted for the actual welcome center would be furniture and fixtures. That's 5,000?
Yeah, that's, I threw that in there. I mean, a little bit might be for the police department, they're gonna have a lobby for the first time. They might need a little table and chairs to talk to people. But that's the extent of things I'm thinking, rack card holders and.
Computer system, some kind of system like that in there, is that?
I have a plan for that, but it's not this year, because the app that we've got has a touch screen capability, and like if I go to CarPlace and touch it, it'll pop open with a picture and it'll tell its history and story, that kind of thing. So it has a kiosk that does the same thing as your phone. I would imagine it's a little easier to read. I don't have that this year. It's just.
Well, right, because
we're
not there yet.
Right.
Okay.
All right, well, let's get back, okay, so when you,
One What is leased space 6,000?
That's the office
You
for the
explain.
police department.
Behind
out
us, see
back.
the trailer.
Oh, okay, you
Trailer.
said that, yeah.
Yeah. All right, so the first thing, I guess, on your town plan is the streetlights downtown. Do you want to talk about lighting here first?
Yeah,
Let's get back on,
so, okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and say. On page 3, these are the fixtures I believe that you have selected.
I don't see the pages numbered. I've been-
No, they're not.
Third page.
Third page, okay. Does anybody have an extra pen?
Here, I have one.
I know some of the drawings that the fixture that we selected or similarly was attached to a pole, to an existing aluminum pole.
Yeah, if you go to the next page,
Yeah, just got one example. on the
I've
next
got
one.
an example of
Right, I
that.
saw that. I just,
Okay.
my question is, does the height matter of the pole and will the light be as strong or as bright?
Okay. Yes, and there's a photometric diagram in your drawing, which is as close to impossible to read as you can get. But it is what it is. It's the page that shows the it looks like this.
That's page 4, I
What
guess.
is that?
5,
That's
page
it.
5.
What is that?
That's a photometric that shows with the streetlights that you've selected. How many and where each street light would need to be placed in order to get the
This-
light that we, that we want.
And
So,
who,
this-
somebody did this for you, right?
oh God, yeah.
Yeah, okay. The company that, yeah.
Is this from Hill?
Gifted fellow, that
No.
doesn't fall under-
Is this from Hill Studios?
What's that?
Is this from Hill Studios?
No. This is from Spring City Lights. Spring City Lights was the company that A&N recommended that we work with.
Okay,
So what they've done is they've gone through just the downtown area. And I know you can see one or two of them when they're over a white roof or something like that, but
I can
each
see
of those little circles shows you the light splash that comes down on the street. And the way they've designed it is they've got continuous light touching from all the way from College down to the town square and then up a little.
So if that red circle touches, that whole area is lit.
Yes,
Okay. So what,
and it's obviously brighter to the center of the circles.
So is that what the 4 concentric circles are saying?
Yeah, the 4 circles within each red one are the intensity of the light as it goes out. So obviously, the more it's dispersed, the less bright it's gonna be, but right underneath it'll be.
so this says Market Street is going to be very well lit and very bright.
Well, we can always change that.
No, I think it's a
But-
good idea.
Well,
That's
I
the
think it's a
point.
good idea too. So that's where I'm saying is that that's the concept and the reason they did it. So just so you know, there are 30 fixtures in order to make that happen. 30, okay?
How
and
many are existing now?
The next page.
So, yeah.
He didn't,
before we turn the
you
page,
didn't include that page.
this
actually.
is gonna,
You showed it to me. Right, yeah.
this is not gonna extend to the wharf.
Less than half.
It stops 2 lights past
No,
Market or Foggy Place.
No, I think where we're gonna go is where the utilities are currently underground. So it goes from College, basically down to the House of Deals, I think is that one pole is the last pole or the first pole going toward the wharf.
So these last 5 lights would not be part of it?
Last 3.
No, what we would end up doing is using those arms on the previous page where you had the same fixture, but the arm attached to a telephone pole. And now I'm gonna answer
Yeah.
the other question you asked. Yes, they're all gonna be at 14 feet as they go, so that it has continuity of light and splash and image as you go down. Once we get to the point where we've got light coming from the new, we can remove the Cobra heads. So it will look nicer without the Cobra heads, but there's not a lot you can do about a telephone pole and the wires.
So your proposal, we're not buying the posts.
No, for downtown, we absolutely are buying the posts.
They're standalone
But
lights. yeah.
once we get to an area where the power is above ground, that's where I say we should be looking at the arm and the fixture rather than, I think the number is, I'm almost sure it's $150,000 for every quarter mile to bury your utilities. Now, I haven't given up on FEMA for this because I think one hurricane comes through here and we've got all kinds of issues with our power. So I'm continuing to try to get them to pay us to put our power underground, especially around King and the end, but you know, okay.
So so this is just a proposal and we would authorize you to go out and get some, bid information and things like that. And it's be subject to us accepting a bid and stuff, council.
Oh, gotcha, there's a lot more to go.
So what do you need from us then? You need an approval of this design of this lighting?
Well, I would say the fixture, I would like to, obviously we have to put it good. And obviously it needs to be dark sky compliant. I would like to go with one of the firms who has a fixture that darksky.org has come out and endorsed. So that would be my preference. My other preference, I would really like to continue working with Spring City. They've been an absolutely amazing resource.
This one is not dark sky compliant?
Oh, it is, absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Nothing
Okay.
that you see will not be, but there's different designs and things like that. So what I would probably ask Tracy to do, who's the Spring City person, is send me a fixture. Show it to me so we can go out and hang it up and look at it. I have the poles already. I can't get VDOT convinced to actually like use a pole. But I've got a meeting with them on Wednesday, so.
But we'd be looking at other vendors as well. You get 2 or 3 bids, correct?
Yeah, I would absolutely get 2 or 3 bids.
Right,
Once we
okay.
cleared out the bid, everybody's gonna want this job.
Right.
Based on what you know right now, Matt, do
Yep.
you have and how many poles that are gonna have to be?
Yep.
put
On the
in,
front
how many
page.
Fixtures.
On the front page here.
Yeah, I put it on the front page for you.
Finish my question.
Yeah.
My question is not about that exactly. My question is, do you have a ballpark figure of what the cost would be?
Yeah, it's right there.
On the
Oh,
front
is it?
page,
I didn't see it as a.
Yeah, it's in minuscule font, but the,
385.
um.
No, the wrong one. I'm sorry,
the
430.
what
Yeah.
we've Estimated is about,
Oh, the 450.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
about $9,000
Thank you.
per.
I didn't see what I was
okay.
looking for.
Small print.
It's about $9,000 per fixture. There's a lot of engineering costs for A&N. They're,
So it's all within our budget. I mean, all within the plan.
That's how much money you want to spend.
Yeah, we gotta spend this money.
We don't have to, but yeah, no law.
Can't keep doing these studies and not do something.
No, you're right.
Because
yeah.
this is number 3.
Yes. So have we also, and I'm cornering you now, have we also removed the tutu light fixture from the gazebo and replaced it with just putting these lovely fixtures?
Well, let me ask you, okay? I use a show and tell here.
Yeah,
This is what came out in your Mad Minute that the town voted for. This is number 1.
Yep.
It was the winner. Is this as close as you could get to number 1?
that's the drawing that Hill put together. What I would be doing is taking the manager minute diagram and sending
This one?
that as my bid document.
Good.
So that we can get as close as we can. I mean, they're all gonna be
Sure.
very close to what you have in your hand. That's
Right.
a very traditional look. We're not differentiating ourselves with these light fixtures.
Another question.
Yeah.
Are we just gonna toss the things that we have, like the old fixtures?
I'd like to see if there's another town out there. I mean, they gave them to us. I'd love to. see
They were
if
free.
somebody else
I
take
know
them.
they were, but I mean,
That
they're
would be
not
great.
bad looking.
But they're, most of them are cracked in half.
They're mostly what?
cracked in half. I mean, you know, the one.
Yeah, you look at them closely, they're cracks in the concrete, yeah.
Okay.
So we'll do
So
what we
you can
can with that.
Dump them on somebody.
Do you want them for your yard?
I think
Well, I
so.
think that'd be brilliant to line your driveway.
That's right, yeah. Okay, all right, let's, so,
So then the next street light would be the uptown. That's where the arm is attached to the fixture. Same fixture, just attached with a candy cane rather than a pole. Those are roughly half the price, but we have, you know, 2 times the number of fixtures. Now, that's the one where we can go through and say, you know, I only need every other, you know.
what is there now, every other?
This one's every other on each side and I don't know if these are gonna spit out enough light to make people happy, but
I'd really like to see what that looks like, you know, but I think there's some comments that some
Yeah.
people didn't like the way that
Es-
looked,
Especially where the street is wider,
yeah.
because where the street is
Well-
2 lanes, you don't need as much.
right, but on the page 3.
A
Where
lot
it
of-
says commercial street concept and it's got the 2
Ah,
lights,
okay.
that's the one that's planning on going uptown. Because you're right, the road is wider and, you know, I think that once we get to Hill rather,
Mhm.
I think I think we're gonna have to look at this, because I'm not sure how silly these are gonna look up at, you know, the car wash.
So are the added light fixtures, as you go uptown, are you adding light fixtures up that, how far up to Hall and Hill, you said?
Hill is where I stopped.
Okay. So, aren't there residents along there? On parts of that? Is that gonna?
It's all residential, it's almost all residential,
Sorry?
it's all residential.
It's residential, so. All it's mixed. Well, I'm just asking because I'm not good at directing.
All right, I'm a little confused, yeah, let's go back, so from college to Hill to college, yeah,
Hill to Lee.
yeah.
That's what that's line 2 here.
Okay, and from Hill all the way out to Hall, that's gonna stay the same?
Because for now, I don't have.
Okay, I'm confused, oh,
Now, I think we absolutely need to figure this out, because I don't want to miss that part of town.
so this 562 is just from Hill to Lee?
A lot of lights. So
How many
that's where I'm
kind of
saying
lights?
we could look at every other pole, every, you know. look
Well, there are
at-
no poles, you're gonna use you're gonna put up new poles, correct? But they're only
These are the
poles,
ones going on the telephone poles.
I thought they were only on one side of the street, they are, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's just on Market Street.
There's 75 fixtures? From Hill to Lee? No way in the world there's 75
No.
poles. There's about, how many banners do we only, how many, lights, not that many
Yeah.
poles.
That seems like a whole
Maybe,
lot.
maybe it's wrong. I mean, you know.
Yeah, that don't
I'd
think-
be ashamed to say I'm not the one that went out and counted.
Yeah,
That,
Okay.
it's not.
that seems mighty high.
Well, maybe it is
Well, okay,
gloriously high and we.
that'd be great.
How many
Yeah.
blocks is that?
Budget.
3 blocks,
3 or
4
4 blocks, yeah.
Yeah,
It's not
3 or 4
75.
blocks. How many lights are in a block?
Well, there's like about 8, how many Christmas lights are about 8, 7 or 8, and then they're every other pole. So the maximum there'd be 20 maybe, yeah. So, yeah, well, anyway, but no, okay, you cleared up what I wanted to know, yeah.
We'll figure it out.
So we have no plan for the basically B2 district yet.
No,
And we might just keep the ones that are there. Yeah, but maybe these fancy lights wouldn't look that great up there. Okay, yeah. All right, so we're on board with that. So okay, so what, right now, we're gonna,
Still more questions.
Then you maybe should go higher up the road.
well, we don't, yeah, there's some
Right.
question about whether they're,
Yeah,
on a
it's
4-lane
little
road.
silly,
we don't, yeah,
you know, but-
we can go forward and see what they look, he's gonna get one and look, see what they look like. Yeah, no, I think you're right. We need to do something, yeah, but, yeah, we don't know.
Matt,
So,
line 1, street lights downtown, $15,000 per pole fixture installed. 30 if town squares included.
Right, we have 28,
Okay,
Yeah.
28 downtown, 2 at the square.
Correct.
And that is what
that's.
is
the-
showing on this map.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay.
Page, we're gonna number our pages.
Joy, does that finish your question?
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
Um, so I think we're all saying this, but I just want to be sure that we're really all saying this, that the density of lights that's in this drawing that goes from, where's this? College to the square. I've got to turn it around so I'm looking at it right side up. And then up the first block of North Street.
Yeah.
That, is it true that that would be the one section where the light would be that intense and continuous? And when you get into at least the residential parts of the part of Market Street towards a wharf and the part of Market Street towards out of town, that it would be lesser?
I've also seen on these fixtures, because I heard some folks concerned about the sidewalk lighting, is underneath on the pole, there's a little spotlight that can shine down on the sidewalk. So that the light looks like the light, but also we can get additional lighting on the sidewalk if there's areas that are, wonky or people don't feel safe. So there's a lot that we can do here.
Can you get like at least an illustration of what that would be? Because it sounds like it might be really cool and it also sounds like it might be really weird.
Well, I think it depends how far out the thing sticks and what we're doing underneath with banners and flowers.
Yeah, they have to actually have little lights that go on the banners as well, right,
So
yeah.
That's the part where
Yeah.
But if we can start the ball rolling.
So you would come back with an engineering plan that would have all the lights located, and we could suggest some of these go into residential, and
Once we do that, I'll get the vendor to work with A&N to make sure that because we've got more fixtures, there's a couple of ways that you can install these. And one of them I find very clever is just put the conduit up against the curb and run all the electrical through that and then just extend the curb around it so that now you've just got, another 4-inch curb and you can run the wires and then just cut them up where you need to. There's some other methods that they use that are a bit more messy. So A&M's really going to guide us through that.
All right, so we're clear on the type of fixture. Everybody's happy with that?
Yeah.
And then, and you can start ball rolling on it.
So I'll keep this ball moving.
And and that also includes the uptown. We're look at the numbers of that and see,
Yeah, exactly.
redo that. And then we haven't got a plan for the B2 yet. We're
Correct.
looking at, I guess we can talk about, if we can, maybe great to get a fixture sent here, we can look at it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
What-
Any questions about
yeah.
lighting? Yeah.
Well, it's back to the budget, but so we're required by law to keep 1.6 million reserved.
Yes.
And so that leaves us with
It's not by law, it's by your policy.
hell no.
We're bound.
Yeah,
Town
exactly.
policy. Yeah.
Available cash to spend is 3.25 million. And this funding for basically the town plan comes to 2.9 million, which leaves us with,
No, that's not exactly correct. The town plan comes to 1.1 million.
okay, I see that now.
Yeah. So to finish ARPA, to finish the buildings, to do the entire plan, which includes street signs downtown, wayfinding signs. I put 14 just based on where things I thought were interesting, so maybe it's 12, maybe it's 18. I don't know.
But if we do the second part of all of this, then we're at $3 million.
Right. We're not really discussing that tonight.
Okay.
Yeah. Right.
That's on here, but we're not discussing it.
No, but you're not at 3 million. So I don't want anybody to think that number is accurate. We're at the total, if you spent everything, and I mean, just went right down the list and did everything, you would spend 2.9 million.
Right,
You've got 3.2 in the bank. That leaves 300 left in the bank on top of your 1.6
Right.
million reserve.
right. Which
Okay.
leads to my question.
Go ahead.
This, correct me if I'm wrong, this is the impression I have, that this reserve has been built with a large funding of HRSD recently. Is that correct?
I wouldn't say large. You've had reserves for a long time.
Yes, but we've had a cash inflow from HRSD.
That's partially of your cash inflow, but our water department is generating reserves and so is the.
Sewage will no longer,
administration.
yeah.
So yes, we have been building reserves in a healthy way for the last couple of years. And I fully expect to continue that for some time.
That was my next question is
You know,
without HRSD, we'll continue to build reserves.
Yes, we will.
By how? What you just mentioned,
Managing
water.
assets and-
Okay.
Okay, back to lighting questions. Any further questions on lighting? Okay, Sarah?
Just one more. When we start doing this, can we kind of start in the core near the Williston building or at North Street
I'm
and,
probably gonna do the, like Custis Park and then start spreading out from there.
Okay.
Because we need a street sign at Custis Park.
okay,
And that's gonna be a really great place because you've got that light right behind the fence at Custis Park. It's right there. So it'll be a nice way to kind of ease into it and see how these things go.
okay, because as you're going towards the square, there's the mix of houses and businesses, and the businesses need the light, but the houses don't want to be flooded. So if we can,
Fletcher can read a book in his front yard right now.
Yeah, no, anything's better than what we have, but it's, well,
so I just want to be sure
but
that
no, you're right.
that we have a chance to recalibrate as
Yeah.
we're getting to
Each-
the edges.
Each fixture you can change as
Okay,
it goes through, so all of them will be at the same height. Downtown, we splash a lot down. Once we get down towards, Fletcher's house, we tone it down a little bit and, that type of thing. So
okay.
every light has a different warmth that you can put to it.
And
Don't want it to look goofy, but
does adjusting that require somebody to go up there, or is it a smart light that you can do from your desk?
I don't know. I saw one that was by remote, which was kind of cool,
Okay,
I have a question about this diagram. It doesn't show the town gazebo park. Could we get an idea of what two fixtures, how it would illuminate that area? Because I'm wondering if
You
two
want-
is enough.
okay. I get your question.
Yeah, that's my same question, because there's two decorative lights near the gazebo.
Right.
But there are other streetlights, I believe, that illuminate the square.
Yeah, and I don't have any intention of removing those unless we do the fixtures around on each one with the candy cane and the arm and that type of thing. I hadn't thought about that. I
Yeah,
thought about.
It would probably look
Yeah.
nicer if they were all the same fixture
Yeah.
in the square.
Yeah.
Well, we can take all the money we're saving from Hilton Market,
That's
Hilton
right.
Lee.
All right, any questions about lighting again? All right, so street signs.
Those, you all have approved them. I have to get a slight color modification on the street, on the backing. But my font size, the logo size, the pole, everything else is set and ready to go.
I had a question about the 1680. Did we ever agree on that was somewhat confusing about the fact that there was a number on the pole? And it was, we were waiting on the cost for that? Yeah,
Well, we already know the cost of it.
Yeah. yeah, I just want to make sure. I know council brought that up.
1680.
Well, it's not on the actual sign anymore. It's a separate little thing, right? And
Well, it's the pole is here
right,
and then the street sign.
and we wouldn't have to put that on every pole. We could do selective, right? Yeah, we talked about that. I'm just refreshing my memory here. Is that, what we agreed on? Yeah, we don't need to do it every single pole, right? Is that, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Well, I don't know. That's something,
That part, all you're gonna do.
I'm just talking, is that what we talked about? Or my, yeah, we did.
it.
Yeah, you brought it up. Yeah,
don't remember talking about it.
yeah, she did. I remember, yeah, definitely. No, that's my question. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, we don't have to decide
The-
that right now, but yeah.
We should, because we need to let him to go ahead, but
Well, we can order those if we need more, right? I mean,
The one thing I remember, we did decide there was a question at one point of whether the 1680 should be with the street name
Yeah,
or
that's what
on
I
the
just-
other side of the
that's-
pole.
we
And
agreed
just-
that
we
move it.
decided that much, but not
it's gonna
how
be-
often we would
It is
use
on
the
opposite side of
1680.
street name.
yeah.
I hadn't heard not putting it on every.
Well, that, it came up and we did not come up with an answer. That's my question. Yeah, when we don't have to, you can give us a budget and if we can.
Yeah, what we
But
could
what
do
even
is just,
budget?
because this is only, there are only 15 street intersections downtown.
Oh, okay.
So, you know, and I was gonna get Ames and Market first because we need a sign there,
Yeah.
and try it.
Yeah, I mean, do you get a
And, know,
discount?
I mean,
Yeah.
and if we move over
Yeah.
to, you know, Queen Street and whatnot, then.
Okay, yeah, well, your question, you've answered my question. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
So is that VDOT approved? Because I know we came in with the black and white and VDOT said, mm-mm.
Well, we're working with VDOT on some of these things. So we're never gonna violate their rules, but our
Good.
local folks have been so helpful for us. So I just, you know,
So,
they can't hold us to standards that they themselves don't meet.
so Matt, are we going with?
Sure they can.
Often try.
They certainly can.
That's the conundrum I find
No,
myself
not-
in right now.
So what does that mean?
At the end of Wednesday's meeting, I'll probably be altering the color of the background of the street to be more blue like the side of the logo. If I were guessing, they're not gonna give me black and white. I just, you
So,
know.
so show me, so that background would be blue?
Yeah,
it is
this
blue.
is blue,
It is.
and it
blue?
would be, yep,
Oh.
A very dark blue.
It's the color of our logo, blue, right? Yeah,
See it,
I know.
that it's blue in it. and
Right.
then you can-
This
Oh,
is-
yeah.
Black.
this is black.
Yeah.
And they're okay with that? or
No, they're not.
Not a, right,
That's what Hill recommended and it's
So,
not
yeah,
VDOT
this is what
approved.
Hill recommended, but it doesn't meet VDOT standards, so I would probably switch it to this blue on both sides.
and that's okay with VDOT?
Yeah. Blue is-
See that. Any other questions about signage, about the, well, street signs? Yeah, yeah. And we're going to see, and, all right, okay, wayfinding signs. We had a fair amount of public input on wayfinding signs, mostly about one place. Yeah. So, okay. So what?
It's not legal, but
Yeah.
Then let's do it.
Waiting here a minute, I would like to throw out, you know, this sign, the wayfinding thing.
Yeah.
And this is the issue. And a lot of this, because if, can that accommodate another?
Well, that's, that, yeah,
another level?
we had,
this is illegal because the arrows where it turns have to be on the side where the turn is. So if you're asking somebody to turn left, the arrow has to be on the left.
I don't understand that. On the left of the sign or the road?
Sign,
Okay, all right, okay.
So these have to be there.
right.
Well, that's not, okay.
No, that's not fatal. And also, I had him give me one where I could unscrew and screw because I wasn't sure. So you can only have 3 items of interest on any sign.
Well, that really, that's
Yeah,
it.
that's why I had to say, I'm gonna take this one off. So, it has to be, you know, other silly things like it has to be 7 feet above the ground and things like that. I mean, that's not. But
That's not silly. That's
It's safety.
important. That's safety.
So the,
And Miles Barnes.
so the,
the committee that's being formed, for those signs,
yeah,
I'm not on.
what kind of Innova
I'm
committee?
just saying, there's the, just picking who is gonna put what on which sign and where it's going and.
Well, I don't understand what committee is this.
Yeah, what committee?
Well, I just think it would be a group of people.
All right, so,
We heard from 2 of them.
but so the only thing you can, they're only going to get
Three.
one line on there.
That's not true.
What,
3 lines.
they could be 3, but we
We
would,
can have 3 items of interest.
I
It
see.
could be 7 lines long.
Well, I mean, I know we've heard a lot about the sign, but when you get to the corner of College and Market, you kind of see where the downtown is and there should be a sign, but so anybody that's not going to see that the downtown is straight ahead of you
Well, either
is,
that or you
is
put
blind,
these
but
two-
yeah, but you should have it up
two
farther.
further,
Yeah.
And then the
I could
artists and
see-
studios and shops and playground
Yeah.
are, closer to college.
Yeah, but I could see putting it up at Hill because people might not see the downtown. But
Exactly.
when you get down to college, you can see the downtown.
Between there.
Yeah, you can
Well,
see it.
and I would like to recount a conversation that I had within the last couple of weeks in front of the post office. There was a guy who was in town working at Purdue on a cleaning project. Had staying in Exmoor, going between Exmoor and Purdue for 2 weeks and had finally come off of 13. And we were right by the post office and he was looking towards the wharf and he said, "Is that water down there?" I said, "Yes." And there's water right over there down that street. And so things that to us are obvious may not be obvious to somebody else. So in the 5-minute conversation that we had, I tried to give him as much lay of the land as I could, but I think we need to keep him in mind as we're making those decisions.
So, but anyway you look at it, there's only going to be 3 spots on that sign unless we put another one somewhere else, right?
So.
If, I'm not,
Yeah, I put. 50.
but I'm talking about specifically, it seems to be the consensus here was that the getting people to the school was the consent, was the issue.
But you also, I mean,
Yeah.
When you pull into town, you want to say historic downtown waterfront.
Yeah, I understand that, but I'm,
You know,
yeah,
So there's 2.
right.
Then you've got the school, then you've got,
Yeah.
But there's only one place to put a sign for the school, which would be at College Avenue. So there was we heard from speakers that were they wanted to know the language for that sign. So we're going to have a committee that designs what that's going to say.
That's all I'm saying is that
Yeah.
I'd love to be able to get a group of people to say, here's where they should go.
Yeah,
Here's what.
that's a good idea. Yeah.
And
The different stakeholders.
my hope is that that group and that decision can be done in a way that does not pit
Yeah.
people against each other. Because a lot of what I've been hearing has been the school versus the downtown instead of the school and the downtown. And that pitting against is really disturbing.
I'll say something, Sarah, because I think the problem is verbiage from the beginning. So Art Center is and that's not anybody's doing but Hill Studio throwing out a thing.
Yeah, that was not
Right.
intended to be,
Exactly. And I think that was the core of the issue. So if we can get the wording to say what it is and where it is, then we're on the right track. And right now this wording,
I don't think anybody
right,
other than whoever wrote it likes that wording.
right, because it was the concept of this and this job of this studio to create wayfinding. They did.
Mhm.
And they called it what they.
Yeah,
thought it
yeah, no,
was.
they did. They
Yeah.
weren't specifically wording. Yeah, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They called it what they thought it
All
was.
right,
So
so-
now we have to add what we know it is.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's
Um,
good plan.
So, yeah, I agree that that's probably where a lot of that artificial conflict is coming from, but
So,
I
Okay.
think we need to step back from that
Yeah.
and try to find something that
yeah,
is supportive to all the businesses in
Right.
all the parts of town,
Right.
instead of saying, no, it's mine, no, it's mine, no, you can't have it.
Right.
Very easily done.
All right. Well, do we want
So
to,
I hear a co-chair and a chair.
yeah, let's get somebody from school, somebody.
Before we go there, I have a question. Mr. Spock is recommending a committee. That would be with council approval, right?
Of
At the
course.
end,
Yeah.
of
This
course.
is just
Okay.
about what's on the sign. You guys always get, you have
They recommend to us.
veto power,
Okay.
I'll call it. Okay, let me pop down the list, benches, trash cans, alley lighting, that kind of thing. That's just a number put out there. I mean, I was thinking right along the lines, of, between the bank and Littleton and between the theater and the bakery and our building already includes outside lighting and cameras, so I'm not worried too much about that. But then there's the space between the post office and there's just some dark alleys that I think we can do better. So
We don't-
that's really what that is benches, trash cans and alley lighting, just, that's just a number. Oh man, I didn't spell check this at all, did I? Nope.
Other possible
Anyway, this
questions.
is the one that everyone has been asking about is Queen Street. Is what is it gonna take to get Queen Street done? So I sent Doug Matthews an email and I said, hey, I don't know very much about paving. So he walked me through how much we might need, what it would accomplish, all of that kind of thing. So kudos to him for, teaching me about.
Remind me who he is.
He used to work for Branscombe.
It was a, yeah,
He
they're-
lives.
He's my neighbor
yeah,
on-
he's Joy's neighbor.
on Mary Lane.
But super genuine.
It's Carrie's husband.
Very smart.
Thank you.
Do we-
His last name.
Do we have a plan for this?
that's what.
Well, we had a plan that got drawn, so what it looks like, basically, the traffic flow, I would suggest that we hire a consultant to go in and like really give us the traffic flow and whatnot, but I went out and counted up, we've got 68 spots plus 2 handicap. Okay,
Is this plan in here?
no,
No, there isn't there.
Where did the plan come from? You say we have one.
Hill put it together when we were putting, oh shoot.
Is it
when
in
we
there?
were Doing the farmer's market meeting.
I don't think we have an actual plan. I
No,
mean,
it's
he
a
did
tissue
some
plan where you-
drawings,
Some
Yeah.
stakeholders that were getting together to see what property that,
but I think
Williamson Building, if they could use their property, what
So the worst.
nothing
we're
ever
gonna
came
do
up.
is 68 spots plus.
Well,
2.
before we go
Yeah,
off that
that's fine.
subject with the plan, I understand that there's already a plan for Queen Street from years ago, Fletcher. Joe Hill
Joe Hill,
drew up
yeah.
a plan. Do we have a copy of that plan?
I don't
Does
think that
anybody?
plan is- I don't think that plan's viable anymore. They were talking about, increasing, that was decreasing parking spaces, I remember. Yeah, because they were really trying to protect that tree. It was all about. the
Do
tree.
you have a copy of it?
Oh, there is one around somewhere, but
I don't have it.
That was a group of people that got together that lived over there that,
So you're
Well,
saying
I think,
there is no plan, right?
right.
we would like to,
And to me, we might as well ask Hill Studio, since they've gone this far, why not ask them for a concept plan?
Well,
just the
that's an
concept.
improvement, though.
But it's not
Where
a
is it?
real drawing. we
Where
can
is
look
it?
at.
It's in.
Yeah, it was in the last page of the.
but they've done something, we've changed it.
Yeah, it's been changed to
Exactly.
accommodate the farmer's market.
This has that, I think.
Oh,
Yeah, this has that in it.
well, the one I saw in the planning commission was just the tissue. It was,
That's all there is. That's
see
all
that.
I've got is this
In
point.
here?
So it's either, let's spend a few $1,000s and
It's
get
in
somebody to come in and give us a really
Near the
good
back.
plan. Or the worst we're gonna do.
No, this is not- this is not.
68
Oh,
spots
That's on
plus
private
2
property.
Handicaps.
fine.
And I know the square footage of the parking lot because we have a survey. So I have an accurate survey. I know how much square footage we have. Doug was able to tell me at 2 inches, which is the right number to do, how many tons we would need and how much cost it is. So it's basically $180,000 to pave what's there. Then we get molded curbs, and I don't know what shapes they are, but to get the nose in parking and that type of thing, where the lights will be in the center and all of that. That would be roughly 50,000. I just chatted briefly with our concrete guy. And then just from the striping out back, I kind of know what that would cost. So landscaping, striping, all the light poles that would need to be back there. I'm saying it's a $385,000 project, just as one of these. Okay, it's just an order of magnitude. Obviously, it's not accurate, but it gives you some sense of what it would cost to do Queen Street. That's the only purpose of that.
Personally, I would really like to see us get a drawing from Hill Studio that shows the aesthetics of it. I mean, all I'm hearing is paving. And I'm hopeful that we have something that's attractive in addition to as many
Paved
parking
parking lot.
spots as we can get.
Well, I mean, when I said the molded parking, I mean, we've all been in parking lots where the two light poles are inside the molded parking and there's grasses in the center and things. That's what I'm thinking.
I think there was some discussion about making it similar to the parking behind this building too.
That's very expensive.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, could we?
Plus we didn't maintain it, so it's all clogged now anyway, so.
Yeah, that's the perennial problem.
Yeah.
Well,
Private property, John Custis.
I mean, do I need to make a motion? I mean, I feel that we should just go ahead with Hill Studio.
Well,
Him and ask him.
well, the other option is,
He's
what-
gonna ask for a quote. I
well,
mean,
but Fraser, what about, Fraser does stuff for Main Street for free. And she could do a concept thing. Is that a possibility? Maybe I look, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, they,
Yes,
yeah.
we could ask.
I'm all about free.
Why can't we take this and eliminate the parts that are private
well,
property
this
and
is all
begin?
private property, all that's private property. That's John Custis and that, yeah.
On which?
That's not, it's,
You know more about this
yeah,
than anybody.
John-
maybe
John owns
we
that property.
Because.
Oh, yeah, don't say that. That'll be conflict of
Dismiss
All
interest.
right, yeah.
Maybe we should.
I'm
just
still trying to
dismiss
find
it
this
because-
plan that everybody's talking about.
Okay, I'll wait.
Sorry.
Maybe we should not just dismiss it because it's private property, but cooperate.
We've already
with
talked to
them,
the
and they don't
stakeholders.
want to talk
Yeah,
about
that they've already, they had a meeting with, we've already gone down that road, yeah.
it. And the
That's
meeting
parking,
was
that's-
negative,
Yeah, that's parking for his condominium, his building, yeah, he didn't want to
Okay,
give that
but-
up.
and there was no way to compromise that, to leave parking and add.
No, they've come up with another, other plan that
See,
will.
I
yeah.
didn't know about.
Well,
that. Maybe
nobody's, we haven't
Yeah.
planned, we haven't forwarded on to you, no, because it's
we
concept.
didn't know.
Yeah, well,
But
what I'm
This
asking,
is a good concept, but if that being the only bugaboo, maybe there's a way to get around it, no?
I don't think so, yeah.
Okay.
Actually, Hill has exactly what Max is talking, right?
No, this is the previous one where we used John's parking lot.
Talking to all the stakeholders of the cooperativeness and who's doing, I mean, Cindy, what do you think? You were there.
I liked the ideas he came up with. I mean, to me, it was attractive. I mean, I assume he was maximizing the parking. I guess, how would I know?
Who
But
else was at the
Hill.
meeting?
David Hill.
You and Fletcher and,
No,
no, Fletcher. didn't-
The people that own the Wilson building, yeah,
and Kyle Dowdy.
and
was
Kyle,
there.
Matt.
Who else was there? Matt was there.
You still have a lot of parking, that's in the back.
Where is
we're gonna
that?
get somebody
I've
to-
got
to-
5 plans
yeah.
here. Which one's it in?
We don't have a plan yet. That's the
Wait,
point.
Something went up.
That,
Pass that to her, please.
The May,
that didn't work.
This one?
May 18th of last year.
Okay, thank you.
It's about 3/4 of the way towards the back.
Okay, got that one.
Williston won't do,
I know.
but they sat in on the recent meeting and said how this all could blend together with their intentions and.
Okay.
Found it.
But-
Bill got a sketch of that, that's what.
Okay, but
So
Joy
you-
was trying to find the one that we know isn't gonna work, and that's what I was pointing her to.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got the one I know isn't gonna work. Thank you.
That's not for.
In the interest of time, Matt, would you contact Hill and see what it would cost us to just get their drawing rather than having start from ground zero with Fraser?
Okay. Sounds good. All right. Okay, all right. So where are we now?
The next line is something we've been talking about for a long time. If we get the grants for the King Street sidewalk connections, there's a matching component. That's the matching component,
$300,000 to put a sidewalk
What's
in?
the percent of matching?
24.
That's gonna cost one?
VDOT work, yes. And we.
Now, wait a minute.
First of all, this has been on our.
I know that. I know, but I didn't talk about that kind of number to put 50 feet of sidewalk in?
It's not 50 feet.
You gotta repave the whole.
Oh, you're
thing.
talking about doing a whole,
Yeah.
but both sides or just the,
Both sides.
okay, I thought,
Ripping up her, you-
Yeah, do we?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm on the wrong,
Oh, you're thinking the.
I'm on the theater. I'm sorry.
Okay, no.
Sorry.
Do we know?
Okay.
300 for Ames would, I would do it for 250.
All right. Thank you. Okay. I went down.
For the-
Sorry about that. It scared, okay.
For the King Street sidewalk,
Yeah. Okay. That's already committed. We
how
haven't.
far is that towards being designed? Is that,
So the design is moved right along. They haven't approved it yet, so.
so
while
does
we
the,
got the grant, the next grant applications are what we were doing with.
yeah,
Ames Street and others crosswalks. It happens, they'll give us our approval right around the time they notify us whether we get to continue in the next one.
okay, so my main question is, does the fence have to be moved or do we know that yet? Or
We
is
don't
that a
know.
later conversation? Okay, thank you.
I was at the Climate Equity Workshop at Eastern Shore Community College this past week. My concern is we're building a sidewalk that's going to be underwater.
Well,
Well,
my
When?
concern is that we're putting a
Don't know that.
sidewalk in
Soon.
places where people are currently walking.
Currently, yes, currently.
Yeah. I mean, the whole street's going to be under, I mean.
Yeah.
We have to,
I mean, we have a map that shows that,
Yeah.
that we could put up, but
so I mean,
yeah,
would,
the whole wharf,
well, we could put the sidewalk up 2 feet and people have to jump up to it.
they'll never notice it.
Put a little ladder.
Swimming over to it.
That's right. It would be like a little dike to protect your house. That's right. Anyway, so we're Christmas decorations for new lights.
Yeah, I said if we were gonna get all new lights and things like that, we should probably plan on getting all the new Christmas lights and ribbons and whatnot that we would need. These are the two new things that we haven't seen before and they're probably coming forward on next year's capital budget, is a new water system generator. The CAT generator there is working like a champ. It is old. And every time they come up here, it costs us $5,000 because they've got to fix something. And if that generator goes out,
You got no water.
Yeah.
After a
so
day.
that part of it, and I met with the woman from USDA. She said that because it's water system related, we could probably qualify for a grant for that. So
Good.
the grant loan deal that they got. And then the new backhoe, that is still, our backhoe is in really bad shape.
Yeah, they were.
It's leaking all over the place and it's a mess. We
Thought
just
I'm working.
spent a lot of money to get it fixed. There's 2 more repairs that we're getting done. And if those 2 repairs work, I'll be removing that line item. If they don't work, then we've got to,
Is that part of we approved for the replacement of vehicles? That was in there?
the backhoe is out. I think I put it out later like 7 years.
Yeah.
Because it seemed to be going fine. But, I mean, we've been blowing hydraulic hoses and, we just spent a lot of money to get it fixed. And now we've got another person who's got to weld the back muffler on. And then we've got the payloader is not, it's bent. So you can't scoop anything without just dumping it all on the ground. So I'm hoping those repairs work, and if they do, I'll eliminate that, but they also said that might qualify for a grant loan program as well. And then the last thing that I've got is the cleaning of the exterior water tank. I just, it looks terrible already.
Yeah, I know.
It really does. I don't know what in the world. But anyway, so that almost assuredly is being done this year, as soon as I can get them climbing up there. So all of that happening with, too much money for streetlights and, all of the good things like that, we'll still have 300,000 left plus our reserves. And we're going to build reserves while all this is going on.
I have a question about interpretive and orientation signs that aren't included in your plan. Could you explain why you excluded them?
Well, A, I forgot, and B, I didn't also put the entryway sign in.
Oh, no.
And
want the
the
entryway sign.
reason I didn't is it was one simple question. Are we gonna try to get a turner up on top of that thing?
Well, it depends on the cost, Yeah.
And Ray suggested we use brick.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
more indigenous to the Eastern
Yeah,
Shore
I
than the
think
stone.
his last picture was really close, but I think it was the wrong brick. That I think raised right on that.
Do we have a spot where we're putting it? Are we gonna are we gonna move it somewhere? It's a
Well,
little-
I would say that we would put it with with good amounts of landscaping, right where our current sign is. But just, maybe we move it closer to the road, maybe we,
But can we get somebody, is somebody gonna give us a little design about the planning and stuff like that, or?
That's not my area of expertise. I don't know. I mean, I can get, I can get Hill to tell us where it should go.
Well, maybe they have some experience with that, I'm sure, and they're gonna, as long, we're gonna do the Queen Street thing, they're gonna look at that, right? Yeah, so we can ask them, I mean, that could take 5 minutes, but, so we agreed on that it's gonna be brick and that it's gonna look like that, but the Turner, we could always add that, we don't have to
Well-
decide on that right away, right?
We could let bids on it. They're not the only sculptors in town. I mean, there are other sculptors.
Yeah.
And we could kind of give an idea of, the sort of thing we wanted up there, and I don't know if we could give rough dimensions on size, that would be good, I would think, but they're not the only game in town.
But it's not in the budget here.
No.
No,
But I,
Nor-
I'll bet you we could make room
nor
for
these.
streetlights for uptown.
yeah, I don't think we're looking at,
Um,
we're not looking at huge
I
amounts of money here.
feel strongly we should have some interpretive signs. to
Yeah, well, we
explain
need-
things.
Well, we need,
At the wharf,
well, we already have a pretty big sign down there, but it was more
we
about
were
the
gonna
bay.
replace it.
No, that's not our sign, the ones in front of the fuel tanks, they're,
Is there a good group that you think would say, we should have one here? Look, if we put one at Town Square, I know we were looking at this during the Civil War conversations, but we should have one here to discuss why Cokesbury is here and the other,
well, why can't the committee look at the, can't they do the same, give another job?
Do you think that would be something better for a historian than
Well, put a historian on there, get somebody from Car Place, yeah, yeah,
get somebody from Park Place?
or I don't know, yeah,
Talk to Hillary.
It's a good idea.
yeah. or- and get Seth-
Miles.
Yeah, Miles,
Better.
or,
Dennis.
Dennis Costas, Curtis Bat,
Yeah.
Curtis is not so much of a historian, but we got two people in town that could spend hours talking to you about the history.
Yeah.
Hillary did ask to be a part of
She
that.
did.
Okay. Got a couple of other questions. Several times I remember Hill Studio talking about VDOT doing signs within a 15 miles of the turnoff or 15 miles of the town for interest. What will it take to move that along? Is that something that we simply say to them, we want to do this, or do we have to say, these are the things we want you to put or consider putting, or how does? Because that seems like a good idea, and if they'll do it, then at no cost to us, other than whatever time it takes to submit whatever it is that they need as input, that seems like a good opportunity not to miss.
Yeah, I talked with Chris about that because I was like, oh gosh, that would be perfect, and they only put signs on 13 for towns that are on Route 13. So because we're off 13, they won't put it there.
So
30 years,
does,
30 years trying to get.
so
VDOT to
is,
do that.
is that misunderstanding on Hill's part? Can somebody edify them?
So what kind of sign, you just about an Hancock 10 miles?
He said 15.
Hancock turn here.
Well,
Or
that's
an
different sign.
Hancock, here's what's there.
There, I thought there already is a sign that
Well,
says
there's a
Hancock.
turn here sign, but there's not one that says 20 miles, 15 miles, 10 miles.
Yeah.
It's none on, and.
But there-
And Cape Charles is not contiguous to that either, and they allow that.
No, they're,
They do, they're on
they actually are on the highway.
They annexed.
So how's the hospital in Hancock?
Because they said they were.
Because they said they were.
Okay, and then my other question is, where do crosswalks fall in this? I had Saturday at the market, somebody had to go back to her car to get something, and she came back and said, this town needs crosswalks. And I said, we're working on it, and I hope we don't make a liar of me.
No, we are working on it. We submitted the grant application to TAP for 12 different crosswalks.
Okay.
Between Town Square and, Halls.
Okay, so that is
That is
underway,
absolutely-
even though it's not showing up here. Okay, thank
Because
you.
we're not, it's not gonna cost us anything, right? If they do it, it's not a.
TAP
They have
has,
match?
no, TAP does have a matching program. It's the 24%. So I mean, if it cost us,
We're talking about painting, nothing else, nothing more than painting, right?
no, it depends on how nice you want your.
Some decorative brick or
crosswalks
something,
to be. I took pictures of some that were brick with
Yeah.
paint and they were lovely.
Don't you have to make those crosswalks handicap accessible too? So that's,
Curb cuts.
right.
Yeah,
Well, we've
curb
already
cuts.
got the curb cuts in. We've already got the curb cuts in.
Well, the ones that would be mid-block,
The paint ones?
the ones that would be in the middle of the block would need a curb cut
Yes, they would.
down,
Yes,
but,
they would. If
but,
we were
but the
ever
ones at the
adding-
corners,
Yeah.
you're right.
Anything we add, we would have to put the curb cut in and put the handicap accessibility, the traction controls.
Okay, any other questions? Okay,
I'm looking at something about VDOT supplemental guide signs, which seems to say they're a possibility. There is a pricing on this site. I'll send this to all of you. I'm not sure that,
That would be great. 'Cause like I say, I'm meeting with Dale and Chris on Wednesday.
well,
Okay.
I mean, any sign we get is great, that's, yeah, I mean, yeah, all right.
Well, even the billboard that used to say Onancock, that was private. They
Yeah.
Put up, but that was the only indication that there was a town coming up.
Right.
And how many miles down the road?
Anything else about the town plan? Okay, we did this short-term rental thing, all right, we have a motion to go into executive session, closed session.
Public comments now.
Any more public comment? Oh, no public comment? Janet?
I think what Phil was suggesting was a sign similar to what Car Place has out there, sort of in the vicinity of the old Quality Inn, which costs about $700.
Oh, the brown ones? Yeah,
You could go up to 15 miles outside of town and for about $700 a year, have a sign that said historic, downtown in Ancock.
oh, yeah,
Historic
so is that what you were looking at?
So you.
maybe.
Yeah,
2.4 miles or whatever.
oh, okay,
So you can do that. Matt's right. You can't have a road sign that says a Hancock,
right,
but you could do, I believe Hill was talking about those signs.
okay, well,
Yeah.
we'll look at, well, he's gonna meet with them, yeah, we'll get that straight, yeah, all right. Okay. all right,
Thank you.
Thank you, and, all right, motion to, go into, somebody want to read that motion out?
I move we enter into closed session to discuss personal matters as allowed by section 2.2-3711A and 1.
All in favor? Second? I'm sorry, discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, did everybody, was it unanimous? All right, okay. We're not going to do any business after this, so thank you for coming.